Warning, this episode contains massive spoilers. If you don't want Le Mouvement Finale spoiled, do not watch this video.
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Izumi Reviewzume. Today we're going to be reviewing... What's going on? I'm not quite sure what's going on, guys. Hello?
Sorry, Izumi, but I'll be taking over this video. We all know who the biggest Mooney and Revolutionary Productions is!
Oh my god, it's so cute!
What is that? No way.
Izumi Reviewzume!
Hey guys, I'm Kage, and welcome to Kage Reviewzume! Yeah, the word pun doesn't quite work with my name. Anyway, today we'll be talking about Sailor Moon! Specifically, live-action Sailor Moon. Not that one. We don't talk about that one. No, today I'll be talking about Le Mouvement Finale, the recent Sailor Moon musical. So a couple weeks ago, Hana took me to see the musical in theaters, because we can't afford to go to Japan, as much as I would love to. So I didn't get to see it live, but I got to see it in theaters, which was really, really cool. You know, not watching it bootlegged on a tiny computer screen. So, a bit about the musical. The Mouvement Finale follows the Sailor Stars arc of the manga. It starts out with Usagi seeing Mamoru off at the airport. He's about to go to... In the musical, it's Harvard. In the manga, I think it was Cambridge. But either way, she sees him off. Galaxia kills him. In the manga, she kind of like blacks it out, like, I don't remember anything that happened because trauma. But in the manga, she doesn't actually know that he's dead. Because everybody in Sailor Moon never stays dead. So, she goes back to her friends, and eventually the Animates show up and start trying to steal everybody's star seeds because Galaxia is a bitch. Eventually, Galaxia and the Animates end up killing all of the Soul System Senshi, except Saturn, but we don't find that out till later. And leaving Sailor Moon, Kakyu, Chibi Chibi, and the Starlights. They go on to Star Sagittarius, which I can't remember if they called it that in the musical or not, where the Galaxy Cauldron is, where all stars are born. And they meet up with Galaxia, who kills Kakyu, kills the Starlights, and then leaves Sailor Moon with Chibi Moon, who's come back from the future to help, and Saturn, who Pluto sent to go find Chibi Moon. Which is a little weird, because in the manga, Chibi Moon gets this overwhelming feeling that Sailor Moon needs her help, and that's why she goes back. I kind of like the idea of Pluto sending Saturn, as much as, you know, Saturn eventually does die. As they're fighting and trying to get to Galaxia, who has run out of followers at this point, has gone on to reform mud puppets of the Inner Senshi, Outer Senshi, and Mamoru, which is very upsetting. Even reading the manga, it was very upsetting. Usagi can't bring herself to fight them until she hears the real Mamoru's voice in her head going, "It's not us, don't worry, remember what we said. If we turn against you, you have to fight us no matter what." And at that point, Usagi's like, "This isn't the real Mamoru!" And she ends up, like, destroying the mud puppets of the Senshi, and then, you know, and Mamoru, and, you know, not till after Galaxia kind of, like, taunts her with Mamoru. He gets all touchy-feely, and she's like, what the fuck? After that, Galaxia takes off for the Galaxy Cauldron, and Sailor Moon, Chibi Moon, and Chibi go and follow her. Eventually it's revealed that Chaos is inside the Galaxy Cauldron, and Galaxia is trying to use Sailor Moon's crystal to destroy Chaos, even though she's been telling Chaos this whole time that she's going to give the crystal to him. It's the concept of Chaos. And Chaos reveals that he already knows and attacks Galaxia. Sailor Moon tries to save her, and Galaxia doesn't quite understand why. At that point, Sailor Moon and Chibi Chibi have this conversation of you need to destroy the Galaxy Cauldron or else the conflict will never end. And Sailor Moon's like, I can't do that. I love this world. If destroying the cauldron means that all stars will stop being born, then I can't do that. And Cosmos is all moved by Sailor Moon's empathy. And Chibi Chibi kind of steps back into the fog and Cosmos is revealed. Which is a really big thing because this is the first time we've seen Cosmos in a musical. This is the first time we've seen Cosmos in anything outside of the manga. She's never been in the anime. If we ever get seasons 4 and 5 of Crystal, that may change. She's never been in any of the musicals before, and I mean there's artwork and stuff of her out there, but you know, in any of the main media aside from the manga, we haven't seen her. And Sailor Moon throws herself into the Galaxy Cauldron, and with the power of her Sailor Senshi, she defeats Chaos, doesn't completely destroy Chaos, but defeats Chaos. Cosmos is talking about how she realizes this was the best decision, and Chibi Moon asks her who she is, and she's like, I am the ultimate form of Sailor Moon from the future. And it's never quite stated if she's Usagi or if she's Usagi's descendant. She specifically says she is the Senshi of the Moon after being regenerated multiple times, which, considering that the Silver Crystal is passed down through the family, as you see from Sailor Moon to Chibi Moon, it's highly possible that this is like Usagi's great-great-great-grandchild. So that's the complete that's the basic summary of the musical. So I kind of want to go into what I liked about it, what I didn't like about it, my favorite songs, and my favorite actors. So I'm going to start with actors. Hotaru Nomoto as Sailor Moon. Now, this is only Hotaru's second musical. The first 3 were done with a different actress, who I'll talk about later. And you can always kind of tell how good a Sailor Moon actress is by the way she does the Stars musical, because of how emotional she needs to be throughout the story. And Hotaru nailed it. I am absolutely in love with her, and honestly, at this point she's become my second favorite Sailor Moon actress. Shu Shiotsuki. Now, I had my reservations about this Sailor Uranus. Now, granted, she's been in 2 other musicals, but I hadn't quite gotten the feel that I really liked her. But the chemistry between her and Sayaka throughout this musical is so moving. They're so perfect together. At this point, they have become my second favorite Uranus and Neptune pair after Nao and Yuka. All of the inners and outers in this musical were fantastically picked. Like, I don't think there's a single actress out of the main cast that I don't like. I do feel that Yume and Sayaka were struggling in a couple places, but that might be from the fact that this was their final performance, and at this point their voices were ready to give out. It also may be the fact that the songs that I heard them struggling on were fairly early on in the musical, and it may have just been the fact that it was just the start of the show, and their voices weren't quite warmed up. Meikyo Harukawa, Ryona Tatemichi, and Saki Matsuda as the Starlights. I am very, very picky about the Starlights. I liked these 3. I will say that as actresses, I liked these 3. I felt that the key Starlight song, I'll get into that in a minute. Overall, though, they're very, very good at being the Starlights. They're very good at playing off of each other, which is something we didn't see with the 4th stage Starlights. I felt that they weren't very good at playing off of each other. I felt that they didn't have as much chemistry as a group as the 1st stage Starlights did. There was one thing about Saki that kind of threw me off. And this may have just been the directing, but Saki had this point of every time she would stand there, she'd have this like defensive stance where her legs were kind of apart with one slightly back, and like her back kind of leaned back, and she always stood like this. And I know Yaten is a very defensive character, like she's very ready to lash out at everybody, But honestly, every time she did this, it looked like she had a stick up her butt. And it was very awkward. And I don't know if that was the director's choice or Saki's choice, but it felt very awkward and very weird. Shion Aoki, Miyo Hashigaki, Yuka Kobayashi, and Iria Yuto as Iron Mouse, Tin Yonko, Aluminum Seiden, and Lead Crow respectively. These 4 were so perfect. I loved the way that they played off of each other, that you felt the friendship that Iron Mouse and Tin Yonko have, and the, I want to say, sexually frustrated relationship that Aluminum Seiden and Lead Crow have, because that's what it felt like to me. They felt very sexually frustrated to me. But I want to go into the fact that I was kind of sad that we didn't have the rest of the enemies. I know, that would tack on another hour to the musical. But it would have been really sad. It would have been really cool to see Leave and Nemosine and Fi and Chai. Heavy Metal Papillon can stay in her flower garden with her killer butterflies, I don't care. Fi and Chai are supposed to be almost as strong as Galaxia, if not stronger. And it's them who kill Kakyu, and it's such a big moment that you see the Starlights really, really pissed off, and it's really, really great. So I was kind of sad that we didn't get to see that. But it was really cool to see Leith and Nemosine worked into Seiden and Lead Crow. There was a bit of their past worked into the two of them, where Seiden's like, I've had enough of fighting on my planet, it was nothing but fighting. That was Leith and Nemosine. And I really liked the fact that they worked that into Aluminum Seiden and Lead Crow. Koko Isuzu as Galaxia. Oh my god. I have such a love for this Galaxia. She's so talented. She's almost as good as Tamami Matsumoto. And there's a thing that she was doing with her eyes that on screen, because you're right up in the actor's face, looks a little weird, but I would assume that from like all the way back in the crowd, in the back of the hall, it doesn't look as freaky. But she'd do this point where she'd widen her eyes to the point where she looked like flat out insane, which is great. It's a great look for Galaxia. It just looked really weird up close. And I think a lot of that came from her trying to mimic Tamami, whose eyes are naturally wide, so she didn't really need to open her eyes as much to look insane and intimidating. But I think that's what Koko was trying to do. Satomi Okubo as Sailor Cosmos. In this incarnation of the musicals, she was the first Sailor Moon. She played Sailor Moon in the first 3 musicals, and it was really nice to see her come back and play Cosmos, because these actresses do look kind of alike. So it's nice to see that slight resemblance in Cosmos that's not like exact, because we don't know if she's Usagi or not. It was really, really nice to see her come back and play this character, and her songs were so moving, and she's so good at being the I'm the wise version of Sailor Moon after all of my mistakes. And to come back and be the voice of wisdom. Okay, so now I want to talk about the songs that I liked and didn't like. So, the first one is Maiden's Road. I really liked this song, and it was a nice little throwback to one of the earlier musicals. This is where I felt like Yume was struggling. She had most of the vocals on this song, which is funny because the last time it was sang, it was Mars. And Usagi didn't get to sing it even though it's Usagi Band, which is kind of a run-on joke. But it really felt like Yume was struggling with this song, and it's really the first song in the musical, so I'm just going to leave it up to it either being the last show and her voice being ready to give out, or it being the first song in the musical and her voice not being quite worked out. Wandering Stars, specifically the ballad version. It was so beautiful. It was such a good representation of how the Starlights were trying to find Kage. The lyrics are amazing. My biggest thing was the first performance of it, where they do this like rock idol, almost Jupiter-esque performance. It felt like they were all struggling. It felt like this wasn't the genre that their voices were made for, so it felt like they were having a hard time harmonizing, it felt like they were having a hard time, and it may have just been how loud the music was, but it felt like they were having a hard time singing it in general. Sky of Jewels, the staple intro to the Senshi song! This is such a great song, I love it so much. But this is where I felt like Sayaka was struggling. Again, an early song in the musical, it may have been the fact that her voice wasn't warmed up enough because this is the first time she really sings in this musical, or it could have been just, it's the last show. Scent of War. This is kind of like the Sailor War song where it's the Starlights versus the Senshi versus Galaxia, and there's this nice overlay of lyrics and voices, and it was really, really powerful. You could feel the tension between each faction. You could feel the fear because they don't know what's going on. My Only Love. This is the song between Usagi and Mamoru when she's missing him. And it's this really pretty song. The harmonies between Hotaru and Yuga were gorgeous. It was so powerful. And it's really nice to see Usagi take the lower harmony compared to Yuga, who usually sings low. Last Hope. Kaku never disappoints. The sheer vocal ability that this singer has. The high note range. Oh my god, I wish I had that range. She's so beautiful, and this song is so encapsulating. It talks about her weight and how her planet was destroyed, and how she'd been looking for the light of hope, Usagi. It's so powerful and it's so moving, and it's such a great end of first act song. We've Become One Again. It's the last song that's officially in the story before they get to the encore pieces, and it's this nice song between all of the Senshi and eventually you see the rest of the cast come out and they all sing together. It's very sweet and it's very moving. The encore pieces. This really has nothing to do with the story. This is really just them showing off at the end of the musical because this is supposed to be the last one. Yuga doesn't get a lot of stage time, so they brought Yuga out to sing her 2 songs as Tuxedo Mask. They brought all of the, like, a bunch of the ending songs from the first couple musicals, and it was really nice to see all of these songs sung again with everybody. So the last things I'm going to go into are the things I liked and the things I didn't like. I like the fact that they stuck to the manga. A lot of the Stars musicals that we've seen come from the anime where Chibi Chibi's story is completely wrong. I really did like the last season of the original anime, and I really like the fact that they took Chibi Chibi's story from the manga, and a lot of the stuff that happens in the manga, like the Senshi coming back, is evil instead of just Uranus. Cosmos! I have been wanting to see Cosmos in a musical for the longest time. Not only that, but Chibi Chibi's story. In the original anime, Chibi Chibi is labeled as Galaxia's star seed that she removed from her body when chaos took over so that she wouldn't be corrupted. No. Chibi Chibi is Cosmos. Chibi Chibi is Cosmos in disguise. I hate that part of the Stars anime. I really, really do. I really didn't like the fact that most of the musicals went that route. I was so happy to see Cosmos and Chibi Chibi in the right story. The evil Senshi at the end. I've seen Uranus and Neptune turning on the Senshi in the musicals. I have not seen them do the entire evil cast versus Usagi. And it was so nice to see that, because that's such a point in the manga that really, really breaks you. Because all of these Senshi who are Usagi's friends are now trying to kill him. So I was really happy to see that. Now on to the things I didn't like. No Amazon S Quartet. Now this goes back to the last musical, because they weren't in the last musical either. The Amazon S Quartet in the manga become Chibi Moon's guardians. And they're there to protect Chibi Moon and Sailor Moon in the manga at the end of the story. It's not just Chibi Moon who comes back. And I get it. More characters means more screen time, means longer musicals. I get it. But it would have been nice to see Chibi Moon with her protectors. I touched on this a little bit. I really wish that we could have seen at least Leah the Mnemosyne or Fi and Chai, because like in the musical they bring in the Sea of Memories, which is a big thing where Usagi starts forgetting who her friends are and who she is and doesn't want to fight anymore, and that's a big part of Leah the Mnemosyne's story in the manga. And granted, you only see them for maybe a chapter in the manga, but it's such a big point that I really wish we could have seen Leah the Mnemosyne come back. But it was nice to see them kind of worked into Crow and Aluminum say that. Chibi Moon doesn't contribute shit. Except for the one scene in the Sea of Memories where she calls out to Sailor Moon, "You're Sailor Moon and you have friends and blah 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 blah." She gets not even 2 minutes of a song, and then that's it. And then she just kind of stands on the sidelines and talks. She doesn't fight anymore, she doesn't really protect Sailor Moon. Chibi Moon doesn't contribute shit in this musical, and it kind of made me sad because she's such a great character. What was the point of bringing this actress back if she didn't get to contribute much? Overall, the cast was amazing, the lyrics were amazing, the choreography was amazing. I'm in love with this musical, and I couldn't be happier.
Kage!
Uh-oh!
Moon attack!
Ah! Okay guys, that's it for this episode of Kage Reviewzume. See you guys later! Matane!
Ah! Thank you so much for watching! If you like this video, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe for future videos. If you want to see more, you can click the box on the left, which leads to the last episode, or click the box on the right to see the latest Let's Voice Act series.